Hi, my name is Luviano, and today we're going to be talking about what is my personal brand and how do I and others perceive myself. So, what is my personal brand? This is how I present myself to the world, specifically within my personal and professional life. I have asked the question to the people that I work closely with, my dear friend and colleague Katie May, and she has said that I am headstrong, open, and empathetic. She connects my attitude towards work as a headstrong because she sees that I do not give up, and even when I am against a hard challenge. She has seen where I have pushed through change and days where it's been challenging to me to be in my role. Have you ever had one of those weeks at work where everything changes at once? Yes, I have. As an HR VP, a human resources business partner, I play a strategic role within HR that bridges the gap between HR and the business side of organization. Instead of focusing on day-to-day administrative tasks, I work closely with the company leaders and managers to align people's strategies with business goals. Some challenges that I have faced are when a new system or procedure goes live, your team shifts priorities to accommodate this change. Your inbox suddenly explodes with questions from managers and employees. You're trying to keep up, but it feels like you're standing in front of a wave that just keeps getting bigger. Sometimes this can feel like a tsunami hitting you with no escape. Currently at my work, we have had a change in leadership. We've had a new CEO that arrived and is making changes to the company's direction, values, and priorities. My own leader, VP of HR, has been replaced with someone with similar vision as our CEO. Our team has shuffled from a 10-person team to be reduced by half. We are just now the HR team, and we're separated from the safety team. Projects and dynamics have shifted, and we are no longer operating as we used to. With the surfer mindset, I have to stay flexible, observe new dynamics, and adapt my communication style to align with new leadership. I've had to stay mindful of myself as well as professional self with this new team. I learned not to fight the current, but adjust my approach to keep moving forward. Katie May sees me as a person that is open and willing to accept others with no judgment. She explains that I am willing to lend an ear and see outside of the constricting boundaries that people pin against each other. This could be because I have struggled to be accepted by myself with no judgment, and I try not to cast harsh judgments on others. She also mentioned that I am empathetic. In my HR role, I have learned to be empathetic to others and to listen to their issues, see their side of the issue, and offer a lending ear. And at times, personal and professional advice. Personally, I would have to say that I am a compassionate person and sometimes feels too much. I have learned through the years that I have to let my personal faith take over and give things, especially issues, to the most powerful being, and that is God. Aside my Christian values and my faith, I would have to say that my empathy and my and sympathy comes from learning from the Word of God. Um, from this, I've learned and I've realized that the workplace is a lot like an ocean. It's always moving, always changing. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf them. Work adaptability moderates the negative effects of stress from work on health. Author Zhao explains that in environments with high stressors, with like role conflict and interpersonal problems, um, those with higher adaptability maintain better occupational health. This supports the resilience part of the surfer. Health is very important when dealing with change and the stressors that come with it. Constant change and shifting priorities can be stressful. Just like the real surfer needs balance on a board, a workplace surfer needs emotional balance. The mental steadiness that keeps you from reacting impulsively when the waves hit, for example, like deadlines and unexpected feedback. I have learned that to take these waves and reframe them as a learning experience, process the disappointment, and move forward without the burnout. Currently, my strategy is to process all of the changes slowly and with a clear mind. I know a lot of the times we get negative feedback at work, and of course, we don't want to listen, and we um, get emotional about this said feedback. But most of the time, it's good to hear what you're doing wrong so that way you can fix the issues on hand. And a great friend once said, "You can't ride the waves of life if you are exhausted." Some of my coworkers have been tackling all of these changes and new challenges by doing regular exercise, eating better, and keeping each other accountable for our bad health habits. So, whenever you have a constant change with deadlines and a lot of stressors, according to Authors Out, it is good to keep some type of balance and, of course, keep a healthy mindset alongside with a healthy body. Some of my coworkers have been tackling some of these challenges and new challenges by doing regular exercise, eating better, and keeping up with each other accountable for bad eating habits. When you feel strong in your body, you handle stress more effectively. We have adapted short walks and helped each other make better lunch choices. So every day we ask each other, what did you bring for lunch? What are you eating for lunch? Um, are we walking? Are we doing some type of exercise today? We try to challenge each other. Same thing at home. I try to challenge my husband and my family about our eating habits. We choose to eat healthy. We choose to stay away from food that is overly processed. That way, our mind and our body are um, not working itself, not over exercising itself to replenish itself. Being a surfer in the workplace isn't about all the having all the answers. I don't have all the answers, and neither in my professional or my personal life. It's about adaptability, learning to move with the current instead of against it. When things shift, you don't freeze or fight back. You find a balance and ride it out. You find ways to make the issues work for you. You in the current situation, and you create strategies to combat it. Eisenberg et al. Discusses how employees navigate the tension between organizational control and creativity, essentially riding the waves of structure and change. It emphasizes adaptability and learning as key to thriving in dynamic workplaces. Another character trait that I have identified is that I am bold. I welcome a new challenge. I am always ready to start a new project, take new adventure, and start fresh. I understand that not everybody is willing to take risks or have the capacity to do so, both in their personal and professional life. I think that I have morphed into a person that wants to be challenged by new experiences and people. I also think that I have to build resilience. I have to know when I can surf and when to let the waves crash out. It's all about resilience too. Like I said, every surfer knows when they're going to wipe out. Everybody will wipe out at one point or another. Bardo et al. Argues that and states that resilience is linked to better performance during uncertainty, mirroring the surfer's mindset of recovering quickly after being knocked down. To prevent burnout, I have learned to set boundaries. I take time off and disconnect from the work and make sure I have a long term performance. Instead of working late every night, a surfer like me steps away, gets rest, and comes back ready. to write the next challenge, not drained by the last one. So, in essence, in my personal life, I like to disconnect after 4 o'clock. Um, if I don't receive any emails or calls after 4, I will not connect, and I will not check my emails. I will not check my text messages for work. After 4 o'clock, it is family time, and I take it very seriously. When I am at work between 7 to 3, I focus on work and my projects. I delegate what I need to delegate to the people on my team, and I focus and I get my projects completed. That's how I separate and create boundaries between work and um, and my personal life. So the author asked, the real question is, will you paddle back out after you crash out? So at work, that might mean bouncing back from a failed project, a tough conversation, or an unexpected setback. You learn, you adjust, and you try again, stronger and smarter. Then there's awareness. A good surfer is always watching the horizon, scanning for the next wave. In the workplace, that means staying alert, paying attention to the industry trends, new tools, or even subtle changes in your team's dynamics. Wake and Sutcliffe describe sense making as the process of staying aware and flexible during unpredictability. Their work perfectly aligns with the surfer analogy of scanning the horizon and adjusting to the next wave. The way that I learned to come back from a setback is to make sure that I have focused on the positive and negative results and improve on them, and make sure to have takeaways that can improve my projects. Another personal brand that I was told that I have is that I am sharp. I am willing to take on challenges that have put setbacks on my personal and professional career and make the best of it. I have demonstrated that by learning from mistakes that I am flexible and I can adapt to change. I can also forecast by observing people's behaviors in accordance with certain situations. I would say that I am pretty good at reading people's physical communication or body communication. I can read a room and I can tell if somebody is being truthful or if they're trying to hide their true feelings. Um, in seeing what's coming, so the way I forecast and the way that I check for and observing other people's behaviors is that I'm seeing what's coming before, what's in the horizon before it crashes, and positioning myself to catch at the right moment. Currently, in my role, I host meetings with my team and see what processes we are currently practicing that we can improve on. For example, when I was put in charge of representing the HR team in an annual quality audit, I focused mainly on accomplishing small tasks at a time. There were no processes implemented to track any of the training and documentation for employees. I created small projects that would track competency, skills training, safety training, and HR procedures. This project took me about 2.5 years to complete. And even with the setbacks, sorry, excuse me, I'm human. Even with the setbacks today, this process is still a work in progress. Accomplishing this huge task was like surfing at the championships and making sure that I rode the biggest wave so I can score big at the end. Every year there are two audits, the internal and then the external, which could be considered the finals. If we compare this to surfing competition, then the internal audit is the preliminary and to see where I stand. And then we get knocked out several times and learn from the setback that you come back strong for the external, or rather a championship to win. The ride is rough and with many stressors to make sure that I complete this within a 60-day window. Having over 300 employees that I need to complete the trainings, sign documents, and be compliant by race day is not an easy feat. There are many outside interferences that come to play. And let's not forget balance. Every surfer knows that being too rigid throws you off the board. In some way, being too rigid at work, too stuck in the how things have always been done, can hold you back. Balance means knowing when to push forward and when to take a step back. Zygmunt introduces the concept of flow, a mental state where individuals find balance between challenge and skill. This is closely tied to the idea of staying centered and balanced like a surfer at work. It's how you stay afloat. The best part, surfers don't ride every wave perfectly. Some days they just float, taking a breath, watching the water, waiting for the right moment to move again. And honestly, that's okay in the workplace too. You don't have to constantly be on. You just have to stay ready. And I would say that that's the case for both personally and professionally. You always have to forecast what's going on. You always have to, make sure that you are mentally ready. Make sure that you give yourself time in between projects. You always have to think about, separating life and work, giving the best at home as well, not just in your professional life. So the next time the workplace feels uncertain, when change rolls in fast and things feel out of control, try thinking like a surfer. Shane explains that culture shapes how organization and employees adapt to change, supporting the idea that thriving in rough waters depends on shared learning and openness. Find your balance, stay flexible, ride the waves instead of letting them knock you down. At home, we also have to think about this as well. You find your balance, you figure out what works for you, and you stay flexible. Not every day is going to be great, but it can be. Because success today isn't about avoiding change, it's about moving with it. And when you learn to do that, you don't just survive the waves, you start to enjoy the ride. And with that, we would conclude that both life and career wise, I would say that I am like the surfer. I can adapt. I can definitely ride the waves of change. I can also make sure that my business life and my work life both correlate with each other and they make sense to me. I would also say that with how I brand myself as a career woman and as well as a mother and wife, I would say that it has worked for me so far. I first put myself as and describe myself and brand myself as a mother and a wife. And third, I would say as a professional. I always choose to brand myself as that first, as a mother and wife, because those are the things that are more important to me. I like my friend Katie May said, I am steadfast, I am bold, and I welcome new challenges every day. I try to implement a positive note into everybody that I meet. I try to give everything my 100% if I can. And with that, I would conclude that this is my personal brand. I am happy person within my family and my career. And I hope that you enjoyed this video and you get to learn a little bit about me. Have a good day.